punched in the mouth right away. They just took it to us. They had Barnes on Steph, and then we had the cross match, and he just ran to the front of the rim over and over again, and they just basically threw the ball in transition and got a bunch of easy buckets early. I think I took 2 timeouts in the first 5 or 6 minutes and tried to stem the tide. So it was an ugly, really ugly first half. I was happy with the way the guys competed in the second half. We got it to 9 with the ball. I think we had a 3 to get it to 6. Second half, our guys really competed, but we were too far behind to really make the full run.
Steve, you started Kuminga and Wiggins together, but then moved away from that combination in the second half. So what was the decision-making in starting with those two together, but then not going back to it to start the second?
Well, we've talked about trying to get them together. Theoretically, our 2 longest, most athletic players. So we have not been a good defensive team this year, so we've wanted to try it. It hasn't, connected really. It hasn't been good for all season, but we're experimenting. We've Gary out, Draymond out. We're trying to find a two-way lineup that can help us, but obviously that lineup didn't click.
What she kind of mentioned it, but you went to a different lineup to start the second half that did kind of click. What was, I guess, the theory behind that lineup, and then what did you think, really? Well,
I didn't want to go back to the same lineup, and so the only thing I was interested in the second half was just competing, and what that means. You can say compete, but what does that mean? It means talking on defense. I didn't hear anything. It was silent in the first half. And so we needed to have, some talk, some chatter, some connection. And so I went with that lineup because I felt like they would give us that, and they did. They got us off to a good start. And as I said, we made a pretty good run in the third, but obviously wasn't enough.
I think we've asked you about this a couple times so far, but how much does the lineup experimentation sort of hinder you or hinder communication in games like this? Hinder the way that you guys are communicating or the connection or chemistry that you guys have in a game like this? Well,
there's a reason I stayed with that first 5 for 25 games or so, because it's really hard to find combinations that click. And I felt great coming into the season about that lineup. It's the best lineup in the league last 2 years. And then coming off the bench with Chris and Dario and some of our younger players with those guys, it looked on paper like that was going to be the way we would go. And, once we went away from that first group, which we had to based on suspensions and injuries and poor play, we've been kind of in search mode ever since. And so we're still searching.
What did you think of Trace's aggressiveness in the third quarter? He had about a 3-minute span where he had 4 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block in a tough game. He had that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, Trace is he's a good young player. He's very consistent every night. He's in the right spots. He's protecting the rim. He's scoring around the rim. So he's he was a bright spot tonight. One of the few bright spots.
You mentioned in the first half you didn't hear much communicating. It was very quiet. Was it just one of those nights for them, or is it concerning to you this point in the season and you're still seeing stuff like that?
Well, I wouldn't say we're still seeing stuff like that. I would say that's the first time we've seen that all year. I know we've lost some games that we should have won, 5 or 6 of them probably, that we had down the stretch and let slip away. But this is the first time I've seen this all season. And I suspect it'll be the last too. I know our team. I know our guys are competitors, and they were embarrassed tonight. But as I said, that's the first time I've seen that. Normally in an 82-game season, you do get a couple of them, but we have to bounce back and make sure it doesn't happen again.
When Steph has an off night like he does, do you look at it as like what the defense did to him, that he couldn't play as much off ball given that Chris and Draymond are out, right? Or is he tired? Like, what do you look at or point to kind of make reason for when he struggles?
I mean, 82 games, everyone's going to have nights where shots don't go down. And we can watch the tape and, probably theorize a bunch of stuff. But, it doesn't matter. It's just, we just learn from the tape and learn from our lineups and see if we want to try something different and go from there. Thanks.